The countdown has officially begun, and something massive seems to be unfolding in the world of global currencies. For years, people have talked, argued, and speculated about the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, but what's happening right now in 2025 feels different. We're not just seeing rumors anymore, we're seeing quiet movement, real updates, and signs that something big could finally be coming. Banks, insiders, and even government-linked sources are hinting that contract rates, those mysterious higher exchange values, might not just be theory anymore. If you've been following this story, this could be the moment you've been waiting for. So grab your coffee, sit back, and stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share could be the most important financial update of 2025. Let's start with what everyone's asking. What exactly are these contract rates everyone keeps talking about? The term sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. A contract rate is a special exchange rate, higher than the regular one you'd see on currency converter websites or at your local bank. It's kind of like getting a VIP deal, usually reserved for big organizations, institutions, or certain currency holders who meet specific conditions. Think of it as getting wholesale pricing instead of retail. For the Iraqi dinar, these contract rate rumors have been floating around for more than a decade. Investors believe that once Iraq officially revalues its currency, certain qualified people could be offered higher rates through agreements or bank programs, and 2025 is when these talks are finally heating up again. Now, let's shift our focus to the Vietnamese dong. Vietnam's economy has been quietly building strength for years. It's become a manufacturing powerhouse, a rising star in Southeast Asia, and many analysts believe its currency has been undervalued for far too long. The so-called contract rates being whispered about for the dong could range anywhere between 2 to 4 cents per dong. That might not sound like much, but considering the current rate is a fraction of a cent, that's a massive jump. It's the kind of change that could turn smallholders into serious beneficiaries. What makes this more interesting is that multiple banking sources are reportedly preparing for rate adjustment systems, meaning internal tools that would allow special exchange programs to activate almost instantly if authorized. Now here's where things start to get very interesting. In previous years, we've seen lots of speculation, mostly online chatter. But this year, something feels different. There are actual internal discussions happening at regional banks, system upgrades being tested, and employees in foreign exchange departments being briefed on rate sensitivity scenarios. These aren't the kind of preparations banks make for no reason. Something is being lined up behind the scenes, and it's catching attention across currency circles. Insiders describe 2025 as its setup year, where infrastructure is being finalized before major announcements. And while no official statement has been made yet, too many signs are pointing in the same direction to ignore. Let's talk about Iraq first, because that's where a lot of the story begins. After decades of instability, sanctions, and rebuilding, Iraq has been slowly piecing its economy back together. Oil revenues are flowing consistently, foreign investment is increasing, and the central bank has been openly discussing currency strength and reform. There's even been official mention of modernization in financial systems and updated exchange protocols. Many people watching these developments believe this is groundwork for a future revaluation. It's not a stretch to say Iraq wants its currency to represent its real economic potential. And if that happens, the dinar could gain significant value overnight, which is why everyone's watching the 2025 window so closely. Vietnam, on the other hand, is playing a different but equally strategic game. Its government has been signaling for years that it wants a stronger, more stable currency. A more valuable dong would strengthen Vietnam's influence in trade agreements across Asia and help control inflation. And with growing partnerships with major global companies, the timing couldn't be better. The contract rate rumors tied to the dong seem to reflect what economists believe would be its true market value if allowed to freely float. So, if these higher exchange rates do become real, they'd simply represent Vietnam catching up to its actual economic performance. Now, many people are asking, why 2025? Why is everyone pointing to this year as the big moment? The answer comes down to timing and global economics. First, Iraq is rolling out major infrastructure projects that require a stable, internationally respected currency. Second, Vietnam's growth trajectory is pushing its financial system toward modernization. And third, the world economy itself is shifting. New trade alliances, the rise of digital currencies, and the gradual diversification away from the US dollar's dominance. All of these forces are putting pressure on countries to reevaluate their currency values. So 2025 isn't just a random year, it's when all these economic gears align. Now, let's discuss how this could actually happen. If Iraq or Vietnam decide to revalue their currencies, it won't be a long, drawn-out process. It'll happen fast, sometimes with just a few days' notice or even overnight. That's why preparation is key. Banks will be overwhelmed with requests once news breaks, and only those with proper documentation and established banking relationships could take advantage of special exchange programs. That's why many experts are advising people who hold these currencies to get organized now, not later. Keep every receipt, every proof of purchase, and make digital copies. The more prepared you are, the faster you can act when the window opens. Now, what exactly does being prepared look like? First, gather your documentation, proof of purchase, serial numbers, and dealer information. Second, establish relationships with multiple banks that handle foreign currency exchanges. Don't rely on just one. Some banks could get early access to contract rate systems while others might not participate at all. Third, understand your tax obligations. If revaluations occur and you gain profit, that profit will likely be taxable. It's smart to talk with a financial or tax advisor now rather than be caught off guard later. Finally, stay informed, but carefully. The internet is full of rumors and misleading claims. Focus only on credible, verifiable updates. Skeptics often say this is all hype, that the dinar and dong stories are nothing but internet fantasy. And truthfully, it's healthy to be skeptical. Currency revaluations of this size are extremely rare. Many people in the past lost money buying from shady dealers or falling for get-rich-quick promises. But here's the twist. Global economics in 2025 are very different from 10 years ago. The world is shifting faster than ever, and countries once seen as underdogs are rising rapidly. Iraq's oil strength and Vietnam's industrial growth are undeniable. This doesn't mean a revaluation is guaranteed, but it does mean the idea isn't as far-fetched as critics once believed. Another important factor to understand is that even if these contract rates become available, not everyone will automatically qualify. Banks might limit them to verified holders, large transaction participants, or members of pre-approved exchange programs. There could also be minimum holding periods or limits on how much you can exchange at those special rates. That's why insiders say relationship building is key. The more established you are with your financial institution, the higher your chances of being included when these rates go live. It's not just about owning the currency, it's about being ready to move when the gate opens. Let's not forget compliance rules. Banks today operate under strict anti-money laundering regulations. That means they must verify where your currency came from and how it was purchased. If you've been holding dinar or dong for years, now is the time to locate your original receipts. If you can't find them, contact the original dealer. Many legitimate dealers maintain transaction records and can reissue verification documents. Without these, even a valid investment might get delayed or rejected during the exchange process. Remember, when big financial shifts happen, compliance comes first, no matter how exciting the opportunity. One area that's starting to attract a lot of attention is the international banking network. Currency exchanges of significant size don't happen in isolation. Your local bank might connect to larger correspondent banks that handle the heavy lifting for foreign exchange. These relationships determine how fast and how effectively transactions are processed. Some regional banks are reportedly expanding their partnerships with institutions that already have experience in Middle Eastern or Southeast Asian financial systems. That alone could be an early sign that something big is coming. Banks prepare months in advance for these kinds of events. If these revaluations do occur, timing will be everything. Some reports suggest the contract rate window, the period during which higher rates are offered, could last just 48 to 72 hours. After that, rates could drop back to public levels. So being organized could literally make the difference between life-changing profit and missed opportunity.
Imagine thousands of people trying to exchange at once, phone lines jammed, websites crashing, bank queues overflowing. That's why experts recommend knowing your plan before anything happens. Which bank will you go to? What documents will you present? How will you manage your taxes? All of this matters. But let's also talk about reality, because not all scenarios end in revaluation. It's entirely possible that 2025 comes and goes without any major currency shifts. Global economic or political pressures could delay decisions. Governments might choose to stabilize their economies before making drastic changes. In that case, those holding these currencies should remain patient and realistic. It's not about betting your future on what might happen. It's about staying informed, ready, and financially responsible. The best investors always prepare for both possibilities, the big win and the waiting game. What makes this moment so captivating is that, for the first time, we're seeing both Iraq and Vietnam positioned strongly at the same time. Iraq's rebuilding is progressing faster than many expected. Vietnam's economy continues to expand even amid global uncertainty. Add to that the shift in international trade, and you have two nations potentially ready to reintroduce stronger currencies to the world. That's why so many insiders call this the convergence year. It's not about luck, it's about timing and momentum finally lining up. Behind closed doors, global financial systems are modernizing rapidly. Digital banking integration, currency traceability, and instant settlement systems are being adopted everywhere. These technologies would make revaluation rollouts much smoother than they were decades ago. Banks wouldn't need weeks to adjust, they could update rates within minutes across networks. That's another reason why watchers believe if this happens, it'll happen fast and quietly. Announcements will be sudden, opportunities brief, and rewards potentially huge for those who are prepared. Now, let's consider what indicators you should watch in the coming months. Keep an eye on any official statements from the Central Bank of Iraq, especially ones discussing monetary reform or currency stability. In Vietnam, pay attention to any announcements related to foreign exchange regulation changes or partnerships with international financial organizations. Oil prices, too, play a massive role because higher oil revenues strengthen Iraq's balance sheet and currency outlook. Meanwhile, global trade patterns will influence Vietnam's positioning. Any international agreement that strengthens these economies could push revaluation momentum further. The most important takeaway from this entire story is balance. Hope is powerful, but preparation is stronger. No one knows exactly how or when revaluations might happen, but ignoring the possibilities could be a mistake. The best move right now is simple: stay educated, stay organized, and stay grounded. If the contract rate setup becomes real, it could be one of the biggest currency events in modern history. But even if it doesn't, the process of preparation strengthens your financial literacy and readiness for future opportunities. And so, as we close today's report, remember this: history has a funny way of rewarding those who are patient, alert, and informed. Whether the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong revaluations happen tomorrow, next month, or never, the conversation itself is reshaping how investors think about global finance. The countdown has begun, and the world is watching closely. This story isn't just about currencies, it's about economic rebirth, international trust, and the possibility of change on a global scale. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, stay ready for the moment when opportunity finally knocks.